Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 207. We are back. You know what we're going to be doing right now, having a look at the markets, how they developed this week, what opportunities we had, and most importantly what we can expect for the upcoming week. Let me know if you missed those videos, if you missed the weekly outlook, and if you missed the flow with the markets Tuesday. I got a couple of messages saying that you missed me, guys, which really means a lot to me. I had a great holiday, very relaxing, got quite some tan, really managed to chill a little bit without thinking about the markets, without thinking about anything, did some planning, did some reflection, which was amazing. Right now I am back and I'm gonna be moving into a new apartment which does not have internet yet. It does not have pretty much a lot of things, so I'm gonna be settling in the incoming week, and then pretty much September is gonna be hustle time. Alright, so hope you're excited for that. I'm going to be posting more educational videos. I'm going to be doing more stuff. And of course, I'm going to be doing some really to step up my trading game and tackle some goals. Let me know what you have been up to so far. How did your weeks go by? Did you take any break? Did you maybe have any profitable or maybe losing weeks because the market was not great these past weeks? But of course, right now, without further ado, make sure you're subscribed and turn on the notification bell not to miss all the videos that are about to come out. And if you already did, let's get into the video because we have a lot to cover. Alright, as always, we're gonna get started with a Dixie, but of course, I really love, before we get into the technicals, to have a look at the fundamentals, to draw a little bit of a broad outlook of what is happening in the world, and of course, check out the economic calendar for next week. Now, on Friday and also today, we're having the Jackson Hole Symposium in which Powell is currently speaking, and he had news that inflation is still on the rise and that we can potentially expect another interest rate hike. Because if you remember, we reached like a 5.5% interest rate, I believe, right? And we believe that this could be the end of it, right? Because they said inflation is good and we're going to react to the data that is currently incoming, right? And this immediately kind of resulted, you can see around kind of July right there, we had a pretty nice downtrend, right? Because we think, okay, interest rates are going to be halted, right? But you can see since towards mid-July, right, towards the whole of August, we have been kind of in an uptrend on the Dixie, right? And what we can see right now is that, of course, the dollar climbs as US interest rates expectations shift, right? You can see we have an overall downtrend. Yes, we're hiking the range, but again, they started to slow them down because first we had 50 basis points, then a couple of 25 basis points, and then the last time we didn't have a hike, right? Which of course means bearishness for the dollar, but right now as the expectations are shifting, the dollar starts to appreciate. And it took me some time to actually spot this because we were kind of calling shorts because we were in a downtrend and this and that, and shorts were playing out beautifully. But right now, is it time to actually shift? Well, we don't know. I do believe next week is going to open with a gap just because we have a lot of things that are going to be happening today. So stay on the radar for that. Now on Monday, we have a bank holiday for the GBP, retail sales for the Aussie, CPI for Germany on Wednesday, major impact, employment change, GDP for the US, very big day on Wednesday. We don't have anything on Tuesday, by the way, which is good. Now Thursday, Chinese news. We also have to get to pay a little bit attention to the Chinese news because they are getting more and more into the game, right? Well, they have been for a very long time, but I've spotted that a lot of traders are right now monitoring the Chinese news and how the Chinese economy is developing because that indirectly impacts the dollar, right? So I'm gonna start watching out for those a little bit. This is core harmonized index of consumer prices, not exactly CPI, but also very important news, consumption expenditures right there, hourly earnings and NFP. So we have NFP week because the 1st of September is this Friday. So that is beautiful because we're going to have just at the first, the first day of the month, we're going to have NFP, and then we're going to have a beautiful September without NFP. We're going to have, of course, interest rates incoming, but of course that is normal. So pretty good week ahead of us. I hope we can take some good trades to finish August strong, but pretty much we have around 4 days, which is pretty good. So that's pretty much it. Very good news. A lot of development right now in terms of the US dollar. So let's see how that is going to go. And of course, let's immediately go to the charts because again, I really do believe fundamentals are important to monitor for the macro outlook and just to have that extra bit of confidence when you're trading. However, what I also believe is that the technicals are always going to show you, and they're always going to be kind of a result of what the fundamentals are telling. And right, you can see from here we started pushing up. So pretty much just right now, we know, like just yesterday, Powell said inflation is too high, but you can see, and they're going to be hiking the rates, right? But you can see the market knew quite like 1 month ago that that's going to happen. So we had this overall uptrend, right? So let's see what is happening right now. I just want to take a very quick look at the monthly time frame, which we're going to be doing next week, right? Because we're going to have the monthly closure. So we're going to have a monthly analysis. However, you can see we had a big cluster of price right there, and the only imbalance that we had was right here, which was perfectly filled during July. We came in, whoop, right, we filled in that imbalance, and we are right now about to close with a bullish month. So again, what I do believe could be happening is we might be preparing for longs, right? And the fundamentals are right now preparing for longs. We went below the 50%, we filled in the imbalance. We had quite some time of accumulation, right? And quite some liquidity grabs, right? Which is very good. So right now on the weekly time frame, right, it really depends which you take as a lower high. So is it going to be this one? Is it going to be that one? Well, I personally would definitely take this one as well. So I can definitely say right now we have a weekly trend change, right? And then this next high is going to be potentially the liquidity high we're going to be reaching for, maybe before we initiate a pullback. Okay, so I'm going to say overall bullish Dixie right now on the biggest time frame that I'm personally looking at. And then of course, dropping onto the daily, you can see why I didn't really trade during August. Like you can see starting from 15th of August all the way until like the 24th, tricky, right? Early here was beautiful. We had a beautiful uptrend, but right there, it got really choppy, right? So pretty much the whole move right there happened on Thursday and Friday after we had like a couple of news. And yeah, so the daily right now also created like a trend change, because if you remember, like the daily had this high and the daily had this low. So we were all trading internally, but at the end of the day, the market came in, broke it up, right? So what is the structure that caused the break? Well, according to me, it's this. But then you can see immediately we pushed up, pull back, broke up, pull back a little bit, broke up. So there is some sort of structure right there, which is definitely not clear. But what I just want to say is that on the daily, we are bullish. And if we consider this to be the major higher low formation, there is a very nice imbalance area right there to be filled, to tap into the zone, and then potentially start going higher. So this is something that I would be expecting to be tapped after we take some liquidity. And the closest liquidity target for me personally is this high right there. So the question is, are we going to maybe make a little pullback, hit for the high, and then initiate a big pullback, right? This will be the textbook outcome that I would personally look for. But again, going back to what I preach and pretty much what I do myself is to flow with the markets and not really try to throw any projections and like this is going to happen, that is going to happen. Only the market is going to show you what's going to happen, and the biggest skill is to flow with it. Now, dropping onto the Forex, keeping it extremely simple. The last thing we had is a structure break to the upside right there, and there is nothing valid. Yes, so pretty much the whole 4-hourly demand zone is right there, which sits nicely within a daily demand zone. So currently the range is this. We kind of, yeah, this candle kind of tapped the 50%, but not really. Maybe it formed. Let me just go to an hourly time frame to see how it formed. Yeah, first we pull back, then boom, boom, not very clear. So the news are not making things very clear. So again, not a very clear setup that I see. Personally, what I would love to see is for the market to pull us back below the 50%, right? And then from here, start looking for the longs, because your zone is very big. I mean, you can draw your zone like this, which I do not recommend. I always recommend also my students to draw bigger zones, because then you have a bigger area to play with, right? This one, it's fine, but you can also take something like this. Right, so because this whole sell right there, which also took this liquidity right there and tapped into this sell to buy right there, is a very strong area. This one, this sell to buy, right? So if the market just dips below the 50%, it's gonna be into a trading zone. It's gonna be into a point of interest, right? So then from here we can start looking for a long. So this is the very simple outlook. I'm just gonna call for the Dixie right now. Potential pullback and potential longs towards the liquidity target. Of course, the first liquidity target is gonna be this one. If the market pumps up on the open, then that is a different story. It could definitely happen, because we're going to be opening with a gap maybe. So if it pumps up, then of course stay tuned with the Flow with the Markets Tuesday, in which we're going to see what is happening and how we can flow with the market. Okay, so don't have any expectations. I'm overall expecting bullishness on the Dixie until we take out this high, after which we can then potentially initiate a weekly pullback, which is going to be very interesting during September. So that's the Dixie. Let me know what you think, guys, and let's go on to EU. All right, let's have a look at Mr. Euro USD. So we are having quite a couple of bearish weeks, right? There are consecutive bearish weeks, which is very nice to see, after we formed this weekly structure break right there. So now the big question is, are we bearish on the weekly? Okay, I would personally say so, because I really like to flow with the most recent structure, and I have very precise rules for drawing my higher lows and lower highs on the 4H and on the 50-minute and on the 1-minute, but I haven't developed them for the daily and the weekly. So I can definitely take this one as a trend change, but also I just want you to be aware that this is pretty much what looks like to be the extreme, right? Because that's the lowest low before the market actually broke structure. And while this is the sell to buy that caused the break, right? This is also a very strong area of interest right there. Okay, so the market is just tapping into it. So what could that mean is that we might initiate a pullback and then maybe break, and that the bearishness of the euro will depend pretty much also on the fundamentals and what happens with the dollar. So far we are definitely very bearish on the weekly, quite a couple of consecutive weekly bearish candles. So for how long will that continue? I don't know. Maybe the daily is gonna offer some more insights. Well, unfortunately not really, because you can see the daily is kind of sliding down, but in a very choppy manner. Like the last clear lower high I see is this guy, and then we drop. Like there is a little pullback right there, then we drop again. So very, very, very tricky. But again, let's just recap. Let me actually do things correctly. That was the daily low. So the daily low got broken exactly right there. It was first broke with a wick, but then closed with a body. So pretty much I'm gonna take this as my major daily lower high formation. Not very clear. There wasn't really any momentum exiting. Like we push down, then immediately pull back, then again breaking down. There is no imbalance on the daily right there, which is not a very good thing. Now in terms of liquidity, like you always ask the question, okay, what is the market seeking? There is a structural liquidity low right there that the market could be seeking before it starts to pull back. Okay, so this is potentially what we can be targeting for, but of course the next one is going to be this low, which is again the one that we have on the Dixie. So what I see is like the Dixie is slightly bit looks slightly bit stronger than EU, but no, they're pretty much the same. But like the Dixie is coming in very close to take out that major high, while we can see EU is very far away from this major low, right? So a lot of trickiness is going on into the markets right now. I'm really not loving it yet. Like when it comes to the 4H, I mean, yeah, we were trading within this piece of price action, which is definitely not great, but this week, like on Tuesday, we made the weekly high, we dropped nicely lower, pull back lower high, lower low. They're here for a moment. Actually, we formed like a TC, which makes the market bullish, but then we just immediately roll down, which makes the market bearish. So the last structure break is exactly right there, and that is our major lower high right there. This whole area, once again, this whole buy to sell is pretty much the area that we can be looking for. There is our FIP, and the market already pulled back above the 50% and it already reacted, and currently, it just doesn't look great, right? What I'm gonna say is that I'm bearish on the euro right now, so if there is any trade that I would love to take, it's gonna be a short. However, just by looking at how the market closed and what we could be having on Monday, I don't think we're gonna have something very clear, because even on the 50-minute time frame, we have these perfectly equal lows. The market is in a short, but I don't like it. So again, as I usually say, give it some time. Let's see how it's going to develop. But if I give you some outcomes, I would love for the market to come back to take out this high, and preferably tap like into, again, we have a very big zone right there. If I just go on the 8 hourly, nah, 12 hours, nah, okay, so I can't find a better time frame to like take a zone, something like this, because that's gonna look very nice. So what I would love to see happening is for the market to pull us back, potentially take this high as liquidity, and then just start dropping lower. It is absolutely possible for the market to rush into the lows, then we're going to have a structure break, then of course we're going to take our new zone, and then we're going to see if we're going to continue following the market bearish, or if we're going to start aligning bullish from this very strong weekly demand area. So let's see. Still, the market is in its August condition. It's not clear. It's very uncertain right now, especially with everything that is going on. and we're having private planes crashing, we're having like the stock market being very uncertain. So hopefully like Q4 is definitely going to give us some clarity and some more momentum, but I'm absolutely sure it will. Okay, so stay patient. Final week of August. Of course, we have a very clear bias right now. It's bearish, but again, wait for Monday to play out. Wait for Tuesday to show you what it wants to do. And then, of course, we're going to roll with it during the week. All right, so that's EU short bias. But of course, first, we need to get that short setup. Having a look at Euro Yen, the last 2 weeks haven't been very clear. So we had like an indecision candle last week. And then this week, we closed with a bigger indecision candle, which is a textbook doji, right? Textbook doji. Now, overall, once again, we have a weekly structure break. So this market is overall bullish. Now, with the yens, it's always a 50-50. I personally don't like the yens, and I've said it many times because, again, like, for example, Euro JPY is a combination of Euro USD and USD JPY. And for this one to move, like Euro USD and USD JPY have to go like in the same direction, which usually they don't because they're negatively correlated, right? Which is usually why you're gonna see like the JPYs chopping around and not really moving. But there are periods in which the JPYs are just flourishing and they're amazing, all right? So again, you have to make up your own mind if you want to trade the JPYs. But overall, Euro JPY bullish in a push phase, currently at this high. So let's drop to the daily, see if it offers us a little bit more clarity. So we had a little bit of a, what really looks like a liquidity grab, right? Because you can see like we definitely failed to close above. So I started to observe a little bit like the structure breaks and how they happen. Like, for example, in this case, we had a very nice bullish candle, but then the next candle is a completely massively opposite bearish. So that immediately tells you that on a higher time frame, that is going to be like a big wick right there, which is of course rejection, which means that there were not enough buyers to continue persisting above this level, which again turned later into a trend change, which makes the daily into a bearish bias right now. Oh, come on, man, what am I doing? I'm still so sloppy with the charts after 1 week of a break. Now, if I just go back to the weekly time frame again, like, where is the higher low? Well, I would take this big guy as a higher low, but it's not going to look very good on the daily, right? So this is potentially where the weekly time frame sits at. It's bullish. This is where we can potentially expect the market to pull back to. I don't see any imbalance that is left right there, and the only imbalance I see was here that was filled. So there is no imbalance right there. Oh, in fact, there is a little bit one. There was an indicator that I have to start using maybe, but look at that. I mean, that was absolutely filled to the pip on Wednesday. So apart from that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see anything on the daily, and I do use imbalances a lot on the daily because that is a very good area for the market to be gravitating towards. So we tapped inside this, and right now we're pulling back. So the real question is, right, are we gonna make one more leg lower because we're just shifted bearish on the daily, or are we gonna continue going higher? Okay, so again, even with the hard time frames right now, they are a little bit tricky to read. But when it also comes on the 4-hourly time frame, that does not happen very often, but the 4-hourly range is the same as the daily range. So like there was a structure break here on the 4H, and pretty much there is a TC down here on the 4H. And what is the high that caused the break? It's pretty much this guy. This one right there, it's not valid. This is not a lower high. So that's the lower high. So currently we're trading between this high and this low on the 4H, and we just pulled back above the 50%. That can definitely be used as a structural liquidity. So I don't really want to call a short on the Euro Yen because I don't really have a lot of confidences on it, right? Weekly is bullish, daily is kind of just shifted bearish a little bit. But the real question is, like, is it going to seek more liquidity? Is it maybe going to come in and attack this low and tap inside this weekly demand? We don't know. Okay, but just solely basing it on the 4-hourly time frame and just being extremely systematic, the 4-hourly time frame is bearish, the daily time frame is also bearish. Did we have any imbalance on the daily? Yeah, we did have a little bit, which is just filled. So we do have some confidences for taking a short. Now, I would love for the liquidity grab to happen right there. The deeper the market gets on the 4H inside this daily zone, the better, right? And then of course you have to work your way out on the 50-minute time frame right there. And then of course starting to target this low, that is an internal low that can definitely be used as liquidity. So for now, I'm gonna say a short Euro Yen, also because like Euro USD definitely looks like shorts, right? So the Euro is weak. Hopefully USD JPY can give us some strength, right? So then we can, no, that's GJ. So then we can put, yeah, it's giving us some strength, right? Which is very good for a potential short on Euro Yen. So let's see, right? This is my Euro Yen analysis, keeping it very long. I could definitely keep it simple. Let me know if you agree with me, and let me know if you're looking for shorts on Euro JPY. And I'm personally going to be looking to work my way on the intraday timeframes within this big zone right there. Let's have a look at the Aussies. Now, this one is going to give us a hard time because it's pretty much a little bit hard to determine what is going on and where is the market traveling to. Now, what happened here is we had this very nice kind of a weekly trend change, which does look like to be a liquidity grab in hindsight, because that was the higher low that caused the break in the market. Then immediately went on and formed a weekly trend change. Then the market broke lower, formed a weekly structure break. Then a weekly trend change, then the market tried to make a new weekly structure break, but it failed, which immediately made this low weak. The market took out the week low, but again, it went on and it just formed a weekly trend change to the downside. So where is it going, right? Where is it going? Is it going to be seeking this low, right, to take as liquidity, or is it maybe pulling back to this demand zone to find some strength and then to push higher? I don't know yet, and personally, I don't really look at the Aussie. I don't monitor it, but let's see. So this is currently where we are at. We have quite a couple of consecutive bearish candles, so when this happens, you can immediately start expecting a pullback. And usually a pullback occurs when you have a structure break, and we just had a trend change, and we're just tapping inside a very strong area of demand. Why is this a very strong area of demand? Well, because the market sold off massively and then it bought off massively. So from this point right there, there were a lot of buyers entering, right? So we had a lot of sellers, all of a sudden, whoop, a lot of buyers. So this of course means that there is a lot of there's a lot of activity going on in this level. So we're tapping inside the zone. I would, of course, immediately say we can be expecting some sort of a pullback, right? But of course, in order to expect a weekly pullback, the daily and the hourly time frame have to shift. Now, dropping onto the daily time frame, the last daily lower high, well, we had it here, the market broke, then we wicked up, and then we continued dropping lower. So that is the last daily high, and that is the daily low. I will mark it with a highlighter, so daily lower high. This red, yeah, daily lower low, right? So, man, this is tricky. We have been bearish right there for quite a while, although we were like in this low to this high. The market was bullish overall, but right now it came in and it took it, right? So the market already gave a little bit of a pullback, and it's already kind of pushing towards this low. So I would really love for the market to take out this low, because if it does, then that is going to become our major lower high, and then it's going to be much easier for the market to make a trend change and then for us to start looking for longs. So that is really the textbook scenario that I'm looking for. But of course, for that, the dollar has to get strong, has to get weaker in order for us to have a bullish Aussie dollar. And again, remember, the current sentiment is pretty much risk off, because the DXY is going higher and all the rest of the pairs are going lower, right? So just keep this at the back of your mind. Now, when you come to the FOH, it's an absolute madness right there. So Aussie traders, how did you fare to work with this structure right there? But again, there was the hourly trend change. There is the hourly trend change to the downside immediately. And currently, no, this is not valid. Doesn't look good. Well, that's the range right now. Similar to the rest of the pairs, like this candle right there destroys everything. Really destroys everything. That's the lower high currently. So a couple of things could happen. Well, that is pretty much similar to Euro USD, and that is pretty much similar to probably all the USD pairs and how they look like. Either we pull back and get a short from here, or we open and we push lower, and then we're gonna see what's gonna happen. So if we break lower, we're going to have a daily structure break, so we're definitely going to have a bigger pullback, okay? So I'm just going to keep it extremely simple, because again, I'm just getting back into trading. I'm just going to be getting into the zone. It's still August market, so I'm not going to really want to dive deeper into it. If the market pulls back, short. If the market breaks lower, then wait for a pullback, and then of course we're going to see what is going to happen from here. Okay, so that is my Aussie outlook. Once again, not making a lot of sense from the hard time frame, but I'm just going to say that I'm more bearish than I am bullish, and I would personally expect this low to be taken. So I'm just going to mark it as liquidity. Okay, so if you get any shorts towards this low right there, definitely go for it. Okay, but of course, make sure that you first get your intraday setup developed. Okay, Aussie JPY, it's probably going to be messy as well. Oh, Yeah, this one is quite a couple of weeks right now inside this range. Dropping onto the daily. What is happening right there? Let's see. So, oh yeah, I remember now. That's the daily low. That's the daily range. We tapped all the way down. There was the last imbalance right there. Let's just mark it up again. The last imbalance kind of got filled, not fully, but it came in. The market reacted. But you can see this reaction failed to cause any breaks, right? So this immediately tells me, oh, this could definitely be liquidity. But then, of course, just look at this. Just look at this. And when I go to the 40 time frame, it's probably going to be... Okay, so guys, I am just not going to have a look at this market. Because again, like on the FOH, that is the last structure break. And pretty much we're trading between this low and this high. And all of this is internal. And on the daily, we're trading between this low and this high. And all of this is internal. So this is an absolutely choppy market right now when it comes to Aussie JPY. So what I'm just going to say is find another pair. Are you going to get intraday opportunities? Absolutely. Right? But even intraday opportunities are just very choppy and you're most likely going to get stop loss and break even. So Aussie JPY and most likely NZD JPY, I am skipping. So this pair, absolutely no sense. So I'm going to start covering this as it starts making sense. Okay. Aussie JPY looks definitely much better. I mean, look at this beautiful downtrend that we have going on right there. So focus on the USD pair rather than its JPY. Next on the list are the NZDs, which are pretty much going to be the same as the Aussies. Now here we had this weekly trend change. Then at least we had a weekly structure break. Then we have a weekly trend change right there. Then we have a weekly structure break. Then we have a weekly liquidity grab, looks like it, right? Then the market immediately went down and caused a weekly trend change. So right now, that's the weekly high and we're still making the weekly low. Now, again, the first question we ask is, okay, where is the market heading right now? It's bearish, right? So you look to the left, like what is the last low that was taken? It was this low and this low. So there like a sell side liquidity is taken. So we can immediately start expecting a pullback. But usually, like you see here, we took out the high, pullback. Here we took out the high, pullback, right? When you take out a high, the pullback usually starts not immediately, but maybe after like 1 or 2 candles. But here we broke 1 candle, 2 candle, 3 candles. So no pullback is initiating. So immediately we look to the left, right? Is there any sort of imbalance? No. So my immediate question is, okay, where is the market going? Okay, I don't know. So let's of course make our way to the daily time frame. Maybe it's gonna want to take some liquidity here, like from this daily low. Let's just mark it up like that. So we potentially know like, okay, where is the market headed? Because it's usually heading for liquidity. And if it's not stopping from imbalance or like from the most recent highs and lows, it's probably going to seek an old one. So the first one that I see is right there. Now dropping onto the daily time frame, like unlike the Aussie, this one is already making a daily structure break. So remember on the Aussie, I told you it's going to be really good if we go on and make this daily structure break, right? You can see NZD/USD already made it. So usually like the NZD is weaker than the Aussie. So that makes it very simple. Daily lower high, daily lower low is just forming. Yeah, I'm not gonna even look what is happening right now. I'm just gonna focus on the most recent price action. So if the daily is bearish, we would expect the forward to be bearish as well. Well, that is currently the case. That's the high, that's the low. Here we had a little bit of development, but there is nothing valid right there. So again, exactly the same as all the USD pairs. I'd love to see a pullback and then an intraday setup right there on the 15-minute, right? But if the market persists going lower, then of course you just gotta keep following the valid ranges. And again, we just found like a little zone that the market could be attacking right there. So you can take shorts until the market reaches this low right there. So like when it comes to the price action we had right there, absolutely insane. I'm not even gonna have a look at it. Like what happened is we had a range. You can see that we have a very nice buy, took out this high, didn't take out this high, but just took out this high right there and then just immediately shouted lower. When it comes to imbalance, like the last imbalance is here. So this is potentially what you would like for the market to reach out before it starts heading lower. So that is my NZD/USD analysis, right? I would love to see this push into the highs before a short, but I definitely see the market just plumbing to the downside. And then of course we're just gonna have to flow because we don't know how the market is gonna look like and how structure is gonna look like. So those are my two scenarios on the NZD, but overall bearish bias. And NJ, I'm just skipping this guy. Yeah, look at that. I even have my analysis still, like on the daily. Daily low, daily high, all of this internal stuff right there. And then on the FOH, it's exactly the same on the FOH. follow low, follow high, all of this internal mess. So again, guys, until we take out this low or until we take out this high, I do not touch this pair. Okay, and I do suggest you do the same because you're most likely gonna get stuck in lower time frame consolidation, stop runs, and all of that madness. So NZD-JPY and Aussie-JPY, a complete pass. All right, let's have a look at the king of the JPYs, Mr. USD Yen. Now here, very simple. We have this last structure break to the upside that pretty much formed the previous week. We went above it, and right now we're just continuing to push above it. Now, of course, when it comes to liquidity targets, like first we filled in this imbalance, the market reacted from it, then it attacked this low, then it attacked the high. So the last thing that was taken is the buy side liquidity, and usually like that's a little thing. The market takes out a high, then it goes to either fill an imbalance or to take out a low, then it seeks the opposite side, then it seeks the opposite side. It's like a cycle, right? Because the market is a cycle, and it goes like this. Right, it's you're gonna see the market never goes up. It's gonna go up. It's gonna go down. It's gonna go up. It's gonna go down. Now, the last thing we took is this high. So of course we see, okay, what caused the break of this high? Well, of course we can take this as a little demand zone. Then we can ask the question: is there an imbalance to be filled? Well, there is one right there that is not filled yet. So we can start expecting that little bit of a pullback. But of course, like, is there something to the left? Well, there are a couple of daily highs right there that we can take, and that is the major weekly high, which I don't think we're gonna get very soon there. Now, dropping onto the daily, like we had this daily push from this low to this high. The market pulls back, tries to push, fails, then pulls back a little bit, and right now we just formed a daily structure break. So that's a daily structure break, which makes this our daily higher low formation. So it's getting a little bit high. It caused the weekly break. So again, you ask the question, well, does the market have a lot of steam to continue pushing higher without giving us like a deeper pullback? Well, most likely not, but knowing the JPYs, they tend to do that. USD pairs, not really, but JPYs, they tend to just rocket without stopping, right? There are multiple examples, like see here, like push, pullback, massive push, like a little slowdown, then another massive push. They tend to do this, right? So again, as long as the market is long, you keep longing. We're just forming a daily structure break right now. And then, of course, dropping on the 40 time frame, it's probably going to be bullish, but let's have a look at the structure. There is nothing valid right there as a potential higher low formation. So the higher low is going to be from here to here. What's the last imbalance within this range? We have one right there. We have one right here. I wouldn't really expect this one to be filled all the way down. We have one right there. Just make it properly. Okay, so a lot of scenarios that I see happening right there, but again, as we just close this daily break, I would at least expect the 4-hourly time frame pullback. So what I would really love to see is maybe the market is going to keep pushing up a little bit more, because I see that there is a lot of momentum coming in right there, but there is going to be a time in which we're going to start pulling back 50% imbalance, and then from there we look for the long. That is going to happen if the market doesn't form like a new valid range. So pushes, pulls back, breaks up, and then of course we're gonna have a new higher low formation to work with, because right now, like again, a lot of you are gonna say this is a higher low, and it could be, okay, but to me and according to my 4-hourly rules, this is not a valid 4-hourly pullback, right? So the valid one for me is down there. And again, you asked me why. I'm not sharing why publicly, because this is a result of a lot of hard work, a lot of backtesting, a lot of studying to determine a systematic way of drawing the valid lower highs and higher lows. And I only share this with my private students. So that's how it looks like right now. USD yen, I'm overall bullish on the pair. Again, that really supports the bullishness on the DXY. So again, the question is, are we going to be getting a pullback 50%? I mean, you can use this one as a demand zone to take a long, right? But again, if this demand zone gets broken, that does not mean that the 4-hourly time frame is going to shift bearish. So we can still look for longs. So keep that in mind, okay? Because that could be another outcome. Pull back inside this little base right there and then continue pushing higher. So again, USD yen is longs, but again, just think in terms of liquidity, right? We took out the weekly high, we took out a daily high right now, so it's not in a very good position to keep longing. First of all, I need to see a pullback, right? And then to potentially start looking for long. So I would really prefer this scenario, to get a pullback and then to potentially continue going higher. So as usual, flow with the markets and let's see what's going to happen. All right, next on the list are the GBPs, and I intentionally skipped USD CAD. I have been planning to do so for a very long time because I hate this pair. I never get it right and doesn't work with my strategy, and I just find no meaning to keep analyzing it without actually my analysis working out. So let me know in the comments what is one pair, what is one instrument that you would like me to replace USD CAD with. Okay, so let me know in the comments, and I'm gonna make sure to add one more pair to the analysis. Now, GBP/USD, let's start with a weekly time frame. We had a weekly structure break right there. We have a weekly trend change that just happened this week. Okay, now similar to another pair we had, like there is a very strong demand zone right there, so we can immediately definitely expect like for the market to give us a bullish reaction. But is it gonna mean that the market is gonna tap in the rocket? No, we could just have a little reaction. Now, what I do remember with GU is that the same weekly low, which is here, is the same daily low. So just right now, like the daily time frame, that was the daily low, that was the daily high, and we spent a lot of time inside this range, right? Chop, 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 chop. The market failed to push up, failed to push up, failed to push up, and finally it broke it. And as I just told you within the last pair we covered, when the market takes out a low, it usually tends to either go to fill an imbalance or it goes to take out a high. Right, the market moves in cycles. Take out a high, take out a low, take out a high, take out a low, right? Or of course fill an imbalance, which is also sort of a liquidity. So daily time frame right now is bearish. There's the daily lower high, and pretty much I'm gonna say that overall, like the macro and the daily bias is bearish. Now, dropping onto the 4H, I mean, just looking at this, right? August, like since the beginning of August, GU has been an absolute madness. I mean, just look at this. That's a pure consolidation, and I'm very, very, very happy that I just did not participate at all during August, because most likely I'm probably was gonna get a burnout, right? Now, that is the last structure break, and yeah, this does look valid. So I'm just gonna stick to what I did to all the other pairs, right? We have this high, we have this low. What I would love to happen is for the market to pull us back into the highs and then potentially head into the lows, right? That is how all the USD pairs are looking like right now, because they have this very funky candle that happened on Friday, okay? So I can see that there is a very nice order flow going on right there. The market had a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So right now we pull back and then potentially push into the lows. Now, I mean, for targets, something similar that we did on NZUSD, I believe, is we try to find something to the left, which of course is going to be this low right there. So that is maybe where the market could potentially be headed, right? But as I told you, we just took out a daily low. So right now we would expect for some sort of a pullback to happen. And of course, that pullback, I would love for it to take out this high, tap inside this imbalance, and then from there give us a short. But now it's very possible for the market to keep rolling to the downside, and then of course from there we just gotta wait and evaluate what is potentially going to happen. So that is GBP/USD, right? Bearish bias. Now let's go to GJ, and of course let me know if you're trading, guys, GU, and what you think about it. Personally, as I said, I'm bearish. Now GJ, we have a break of structure right there, which is very clean, very nice uptrend right there. We have, of course, this very big area of demand. That is the weekly high or low. Dropping onto the daily time frame. Oh, we have some nice development right there. We had a daily break up, and then we have a daily breakdown. So where is the market going right now? Well, most likely imbalance. There's one I see right there. There's another one I see right there. So you can see, yep, it's traveling towards filling in the imbalance, right? And this right there is a very strong area of demand as well, right? You can see here the market kind of calls the daily break, calls it, then the next candle bearish, then whoop, we break down. So this area of demand right there, absolutely not strong, okay? But this area of demand right there that pushed the market for quite a couple of days to the upside, and that formed imbalance in between, very good. So this is most likely where GJ is going. And also on the bearish break, we also have imbalance, okay? So kind of aligning a little bit more on the short side. Did this cause a low? It actually caused a low. Okay. So this one is going to be slightly tricky because we have a hourly break of structure, and then this is our major lower high right now. So this is just getting inside the zone. So I see a couple of scenarios right there. We're either going to short from here and continue going down. That is if this level right there has a lot of strength. It didn't really exit with a lot of imbalance. No, it actually did not form any imbalance at all, which immediately means that this area might not be very strong. And as I said to the daily, on the daily, right, if you just take the daily time frame, right, that's the daily high and that's the daily low, and the 50% perfectly aligns with this daily imbalance. So what I would love to see happen also is for the market to take out this high as liquidity, tap inside the imbalance, and then from here get the big short. Okay, so there is my GJ scenarios, right? You can definitely look for a short from here because it's a valid lower high, lower low. But I mean, again, look at the way the market broke, just with a very tiny wick, immediately rushed into the highs with a lot of steam. And then this break lower, not very strong. Okay, so that is how GJ looks like right now. It's overall bearish, which also supports the bearishness on GEO. So they look good, right? They look good. I mean, also EJ did look good as well, also for a short bias. But of course, AJ and NJ, they're definitely a skip. So let's see how the GBPs play out. They're both bearish. GJ definitely looks good, but just keep in mind this daily 50% and this imbalance. This is going to be a really good area to be looking for trades. We also have that little base supply right there to act as a kind of a supply zone. So let's see what's going to happen. And of course, make sure to follow the markets. We have some really good targets to the downside. Definitely GJ does look like a good JPY to be trading. All right, let's have a look at gold. Again, just a disclaimer, I am not a gold trader. I used to trade gold very far back in my early days, but since then I haven't really taken any trades on gold, but I just love breaking it down, and I know that a lot of you are trading gold, so I would definitely love to give my outlook on it as well. Now, this is the most significant weekly structure break right there, and then since then we had like this little guy right there, we had this little guy right there, but you can see this is more like a cluster, and then the market just kind of went down, weekly structure break, weekly structure break. Weekly structure break happened exactly right now, which makes like this our weekly lower high formation. But again, we know to the left we had this very big imbalance that was filled. All right, we keep filling it. So is this actually the area that the market will be reacting from, or are we going to be like digging in a little bit deeper towards these levels? Again, I don't know. The market is currently sitting like towards the middle. If we take from this low to this high, which is most likely going to be the monthly range. Not even the monthly range, because this is just like one candle. So the monthly range is actually this guy. So we haven't even reached, no, I'm doing things very wrongly right there. Again, just catching myself when it's time. The monthly range is actually coming in from here, right? There is the monthly break right there, because we have quite a couple of candles of pullback right there. It's a very clean pullback. And then since then we impulsed up. So technically, the monthly range is this guy, and we pull back below 50%, tried, suppose we failed. And if we failed to take out the high, well, we have this liquidity grab taken, boom, we took it, but then we failed to cause the takeout of this high right there. So is this going to become liquidity? That is reading way too far back in time, but I just wanted to catch myself right there because I was drawing like some wrong stuff. Now, currently bearish on the weekly time frame. We did form a little bit of an imbalance exactly right there, which is a good thing, which immediately got filled, right? So let's of course transfer onto the daily and see how that looks like on the day. On the day we had like structure break up, a structure break down, down, and this is the last daily break. I'm just gonna mark it as a void. It's the last daily break, so this means that's the last daily supply. Okay, and do we have any imbalance right there? No. I mean, you see August, like all the pairs that I look at, they don't have imbalance. And like all the zones that I look at, they don't have any imbalance. So very slow. I mean, look at this on the daily time frame. We're on the daily right now. There's absolutely no imbalance within this whole bearish leg. Maybe there is some, very tiny, but I just don't see it. No, I'm pretty sure there is no, right? So that means that there is not enough volume. There is no speed. There is no volume. There is pretty much no big participants in the market. Okay. So daily time frame is bearish. We have this, at least this little weekly imbalance right there that is just filled, right? So then of course we know that if we come towards this area right there, maybe we take some structural liquidity, we can start preparing for a short. But now dropping onto the 40 time frame, like, yeah, this one is also very tricky. It broke down right there, chopped for quite some time, broke up, pull back. And yeah, so the last break is here. We have a little bit right there. This one is not, oh man, this is not good. So like broke up, broke down, broke up, broke down, whoop, 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 whoop. You don't like this, right? You don't like this. So I'm just gonna stay with this range right there, with this range. So the market pushed up and then it did all this crazy stuff. But again, on Friday's candle, we went down, we pulled back into the 50% and we filled in this whole imbalance right? That we filled in the whole imbalance. Is there anything more? Well, there was one right here that kind of got filled by this little indecision candle right there. So gold to me right now is just confusing. All right, so let me know, guys, in the comments if you agree that gold is confusing. But just looking at it, it just doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. What I can potentially forecast is just basing it on the weekly and the daily, and that there is not enough volume and there is no imbalance, that potentially the market is gonna seek some highs in order for it to continue its bearish leg, right? And these highs can be in the form of this daily high in order to tap the weekly supply, or in order to tap the daily supply, it's gonna take out like these 4-hourly highs right there. So I see something like this happening and then aligning bearish from there, but I just have no clue whether this is a strong zone because it has no confluences at all to hold the market and push it down. So I would expect bullishness right now on gold, but again, bullish gold in a bullish DXY, not looking very good. Okay, not looking very good. So again, long term, gold will potentially go down because as we expect the rates to be hiked on for the dollar, then of course that is going to mean that gold is going to decrease, because again, it makes more sense to put it in a savings account rather than invest in gold, right? So let's see what's going to happen. Again, guys, I always appreciate you in the comments. What do you think is going to happen on gold? Pretty much what is your breakdown? Feel free to also share some trading view charts. Keep it more interactive. Other people can check out with your analysis. But this is what I see on gold right now. This is kind of a macro outlook that I expect. But again, if it was just me trading gold, I would say I'm not going to touch it until it actually starts making sense. Okay, so make sure that you add this to your trading plan. If it doesn't make sense, you don't trade it, because the trades you have to be taking have to be always a firm yes. Right? If you believe the trade, if you believe the higher time frame, and if it's just like feeling at your gut is telling you that this is a pair that you understand and this is a trade that you would take, that is the time to go. And if you feel like you're forcing it, if you feel like you're like have no clue what you're doing, just scratch the pair. All right, let's have a look at some indices, which are getting very, very, very interesting, because we're having an overall kind of, not, I don't want to say a downtrend, but we're having a pullback right now on the weekly time frame, and it's very, very, very interesting to see to me right now. I'm just burning to know what's going to happen. Are we going to hold from this demand right there and continue pushing up, or are we going to be getting into an uptrend? Because if this low gets taken, most likely this low is going to get taken, and most likely this low is going to get taken, right? So there are some rumors that right now Powell is going to send the stock market to crash once again, which is something that I would definitely love, because I haven't bought stocks in a very long time, and we see that a lot of them are right now decreasing. Now, still, US 30 is bullish on the weekly time frame, weekly low, weekly high, dropping onto the daily time frame. Well, the thing is exactly the same. Weekly structure is exactly the same. Daily structure as well. So right now, imbalance filled, imbalance filled, right? The last imbalance is filled. So right now the market is in a very, very, very delicate area right there. Is it going to shift bullish on the FOIC and start pumping up, or is it going to continue pumping down? Like, this is the biggest question we have right now when it comes to US 30. And then of course, when you go into the 4-hourly time frame, you get this, which is absolute nonsense. Like, this is again August markets. Well, of course, not all of August was like this, but even no, it was like this. Okay, and just take my words back. That's pretty much the first half of August. Then we had like a little bit of a downtrend, and then pretty much August is gonna end in another choppiness, right? Man, this is crazy. Okay, so the last structure break, it's very simple. It's right there, and of course our last lower heights, I'm just gonna take it as this wick. So again, very interesting situation right now. We're very deep inside the daily, we're very deep inside the weekly demand. We filled in the imbalance, okay, just right now. And just right now, the market is like reacting and about to tap inside the supply. So personally, I have no confidence to be looking for sells from this zone. Why? Well, just what I told you. Bullish weekly, bullish daily, daily demand, weekly demand, imbalance filled. Very low in the on the macro scale of things. So again, be careful, but once again, if we get inside the zone, you can definitely be looking for lower time frame confirmations to get into shorts on US 30. Okay, so that's how I look at this pair right now, and I'm just very curious to see what's going to happen. Again, it's fully uncertain. The market could again take out a high, then starts chopping around, then do some random stuff. Okay, but this is how it looks like right now. Bearish buys, but I'm not going to be taking longs, shorts, because of what I just told you 2 times. Okay, now Nasdaq monthly time frame pushed up very nicely, so we can be expecting a pullback. On the weekly time frame, we actually have a weekly structure break right there, which is absolutely phenomenal. That is definitely a valid lower higher low to me. Right there, pushed up, broke down. So right now, again, you start asking the question, where is it going? Well, the first thing I see is imbalance right there. And that is the very first imbalance that like, according to where the price is, that is the first imbalance that the market could be gravitating towards. This week, we already had like some sort of a pullback that went above the 50%. So as we're going to explore on the daily, well, yeah, on the weekly time frame, if you take it from this high to this low, 50%. If you take it from this high, it's 50%. Okay, there is no imbalance, but we know that the weekly time frame has pulled back above the 50%. And again, as I told you, as there is no imbalance, the market will usually try to seek out a high. So we came in, we took out this high, right, which kind of made the daily a little bit bullish, right? But we immediately reacted right now, and we're sitting in a little bit of a strange place on Nasdaq right now. I just hope, yeah, I hope the folly was bearish, and it actually is, right? Because the last structure break is here, and then the last structure break down is trend change down is right there. So technically the folly time frame is bearish, trading within this big range right there. So there is a lot of imbalance right there to be filled. So I mean, it's a very big area. So wait for it to get filled, and then of course wait for your lower time frame confirmation as the imbalance is filled. But I'm gonna say also, well, Nasdaq does look shorts. Does look like shorts. I really like how the market kind of went down and down and down and down and down. Then we had this like a nice push up because we just caused a weekly break, and you see what happens after you cause a weekly break. Whoop, the market pulls back. But as this weekly break happened, we also pulled back above the 50% of the weekly range, and we also took out some liquidity. So I would say we can start expecting shorts on Nasdaq, but again, guys, that will really depend on how the stock market will do and if really Powell is gonna send the stock market to hell. Let's see, but bearish bias right now on Nasdaq. Let's see how my favorite one, S&P, is doing. So this one does not entirely have like a very clear weekly higher low within right there. It has like a little bit of a downtrend right there. I mean, in this case, you can take this one as a higher low. You can also take this one as a higher low. You can definitely do that. So we can say that it's bearish right now. It already kind of has a little bit of a pullback, which is an inside bar as well. So it's going to be a range. On the daily time frame, it looks definitely cleaner because we have still this daily range. Like unlike Nasdaq, S&P did not take out this high. So it came into the daily supply, massive bearish engulfing. Like this kind of fully engulfed the previous one, which probably means that the forward time frame has shifted bearish. There it is, right? We took out some structural liquidity right there into a daily zone. We took out forward structural liquidity, and yes, right now we have that same thing right there. We have this very big imbalance, right, that the market is currently filling. And I would be looking for shorts, right? So pull back inside right there and continue dropping lower. Of course, then the next target is going to be this low. So I am kind of calling shorts on the indices, but it does make sense to me for them to go a little bit short because they are very extended on the weekly. We have a little bit of a downtrend. Right now, there, like with Powell, there are some macro confluences to support a little bit of a bearish indices, right? To give us a little bit of a pullback. And then potentially I'm going to start stacking right now very slowly on index funds, on stocks as well, because we can of course expect a uptrend coming in very soon, because again, we don't have like really a crisis, we don't have a crash. So right now this is what I would believe to be a healthy pullback, right? Like we massively pushed up. So if you take it from the low to the high, if you bought right there, this is a 32% increase. So that is a very good result. So right now, if you take this and if you have like a 10%, like usually in a nice uptrend, 6 to 8% pullback is very good, but a 10% pullback is a must buy. So as we start getting like into the 6% pullback, which is exactly on this liquidity area right that I have right there, you can stack up a little bit. If you go to 8, you can stack up a little bit, and if you go to 10, you can stack up a big back right there. So hopefully you've had some savings to invest in the stock market, but this is how it looks right now in terms of technicals. I am looking for shorts right now, attacking these liquidity area lows. And as soon as we take out these liquidity area lows, I might start stacking into some stocks as well. Okay, so those are the indices. Bitcoin, very interesting. I don't know why. Maybe your crypto junkies out there, you can let me know why did Bitcoin drop. But again, I have been expecting this imbalance to be filled for a very long time, like which was around the 27.5K, but we actually dipped even deeper. So the big question right now is the market gonna hold from this zone? Like the way the market broke this high right there does not give me a lot of confidence that this one is gonna hold, but like this big push with lots of imbalance is actually giving me also some conviction. So again, if I was investing in crypto right now, which I'm not, because I'm better save my money for stocks, I would put a little bit right there, but I would also be mindful that this low can be broken and then I would still stack up as it goes down. Okay, because this area is still not tested. Okay, so there is a very high chance this low can become liquidity for the market to tap inside the other one and then make an uptrend. Okay, so why is the crypto dropping? I don't know, but it could be a very good idea to start stacking up on it if you have been buying from the lows. All right. Ethereum, it's still inside this big daily range. I would only buy Ethereum if it breaks this low. Like just for the fun of it, I'm just gonna buy Ethereum if it breaks down this low, because I would really think it's a great opportunity right there. So that is pretty much how I want to end it up. And again, if you just throw a little bit of a recap, right, the dollar right now does look bullish because of what is currently happening. We're expecting rate hikes. So immediately when Powell said inflation is high, we're going to expect rate hikes, whoop, the market started rocking up, and this momentum can continue until we take out some liquidity area highs, which in my case is this guy and this guy right there. Euro USD, like, so if the DXY is bullish, everything else is going to be bearish. So Euro USD bearish, Aussie USD bearish, NZ USD bearish, GBP USD bearish, right? So all of those are bearish and the analysis on them looks pretty good. Avoid trading the JPYs. You can only focus on EJ and GJ because they definitely look good technically, both in terms of the macro timeframes and also in the quality timeframes, right? But pairs like AJ and NJ, definitely give it a skip. Gold to me rather confusing right now, so I'm just gonna give it some time to play out. Indices are all bearish, so looking to see if they're gonna actually drop this week, starting to prepare for some investing opportunities. And of course, the USDN is rather bullish. We're expecting a little bit of a pullback, and hopefully the yen pairs, I mean, yeah, we're looking for shorts on all the yen pairs, but if the USDN is strong, that is going to be a hard time. But if USDN gives us a little pullback, you can capitalize on a very quick short on the JPYs. Okay, so ending in right there. Let me know, guys, what is your favorite pair for next week? What are you looking for? How did you perform this week? How did you perform this month? Let me know, give me a little bit of a progress review, and talk to you on Flow with the Markets on Tuesday.